So in today's webinar, we're going to cover the guidelines for using images. I'll give you a few guidelines, including some OCCS rules. We'll talk about some image file types and what to use where. We'll talk about optimizing and saving images for the web. I'm going to do an editing demonstration in 3 free photo editors. They're all slightly different, and each one has their benefits, pros and cons. So we'll give you an opportunity to see them in action and decide what works best for you. And then I'm going to demonstrate how to edit and optimize a photo for the profile picture on the personnel database. The guidelines for using images that we're going to cover today include purpose, copyright, OCCS guidelines, and accessibility. So when we're designing and creating web pages, we often want them to look good and tend to use images to make that happen. Even professionals kind of fight with this tendency. I'm very much guilty of that. I like nice images, and you know, sometimes they don't always have anything to do with what's on the page. They just really look good. But research shows that images on web pages that serve no purpose other than looking good are often ignored, so nobody really sees them anyway. There's a usability researcher named Nielsen who did some eye tracking research and found that unless an image contains specific information or were of actual people, real people, they were mostly ignored. And so in this example here from Yale, from the Yale School of Law, the circles represent the eye movement. And the bigger the circle, the longer the eyes focused on a particular area. And as you can see, this step 1 is pretty heavy. People actually read that information. But this photo over here, no one actually looked at it at all. Nobody's eyes stopped on it at all. So it looks like they used real people in the photo, but the people in that particular study didn't look at it at all. So when you're thinking about using images and want to use images with a purpose, you can ask yourself a few questions. So first of all, are there any benefits to using this particular image? For example, does it show off my product or service well? Like, does it show off the workshop and people having fun at the workshop that we're giving for the Master Gardeners, say? The next question, does it help the user understand the point I'm trying to make? So if you're trying to make a specific point, does that particular image help make that point, or is it just eye candy? Does the image create emotional appeal? For example, does it help customers visualize himself using the product being featured in the photo? Like, oh, I can't think of a specific example that pertains to 4-H, or well, let's say instead of a customer visualizing himself using a product, let's say a parent visualizing their child being at a 4-H camp and being happy, or someone from the community at a school garden. Does it create emotional appeal for that kind of thing? And how does the image relate to my brand? Does it speak to my target audience? So if you know, if your target audience is 4-H kids, then you want to have images that feature children or things that appeal to children that are the age in the age bracket that would go to 4-H events and camps and things. And then what message does the image send, if there's a message being sent at all? If there isn't, then that probably is not necessary. And then how will visitors respond to the image? Will it change their opinion? For example, will it help facilitate the buying process? And in this case, for county extension offices, will it help you know, get that child enrolled in a 4-H camp, or have that master gardener sign up for a particular workshop? And these are all questions that you can keep in mind when you're deciding whether or not to use images or what images in particular to use. Sorry, my mouse on this computer is backwards, so I keep going backwards. Another guideline to think about when you're using images, just because a photo is online on Facebook or Twitter or just in a website, doesn't mean that it's not copyrighted. So unless you actually took the photo or you got it from OCCS, and I'll show you or I'll send you a link to OCCS resources where you can have them take photos for your events and stuff, or they also have a Flickr stream that you can get images from. Unless you took the photo or you got it from OCCS, just assume that every image you find online is copyrighted. That way you won't have any problems or trouble. You won't get any cease and desist using this image, or you won't get sued. So for OCCS, the creative services personnel are available to provide photography to support news, event, and promotional needs for CAES and UGA extension. And they also do have a Flickr stream here at flickr.com photos/UGA communications/sets. And I'll include a link in the chat at the end of this section. I'll copy and put it in so you can go right to it. As far as using images for images of minors, they're pretty strict. They're pretty strict about that. For any materials that contain images featuring a person, it's any person, it's necessary to get permission from them. But in the case of minors, you have to get permission from the parent or guardian, and you have to get it in writing. For other people, you can just get verbal, but for minors, you have to get it in writing, and you have to keep that on file. And if an OCCS photographer is taking photos at your event or on location, that photographer will be responsible for getting in the completed consent form from the parent or guardian, and they will keep those on file. If a client of OCCS is providing photos for publication purposes, it's the client's responsibility for obtaining the consent and release form, and make sure that it's been signed and available upon request. And the client also should, so if you hire an outside photographer, or if you're just taking pictures with your phone even, you're considered an outside client, and you, with pictures of children, you have to get the photos, the consent form signed, and keep those on file. Alt text. Alt text is something that you see in the image components on AEM. And basically the main purpose of alt text ultimately is for web accessibility. So that visually impaired users who use screen readers will be able to read that alt text to better understand what an image is on the page. But it also will, if your image for some reason doesn't load, it will be displayed on the screen in place of the image. And then it also provides better context and descriptions to search engines like Google, and helping them index the image properly, so that they're easier to find or easier to find on Google. All right. All right. Yes, there is a consent and release form, and let me get that for you. I'm going to stop sharing here for a second and pull that up. And then, yes, Mary Beth, I will go back 2 slides. Huh. Oh, I downloaded it and made it available, and now I cannot find it. All right, let me go to all right, I'm going to go to the website here. Office of OCCS. And that's still on the old intranet. So it's caes2.caes.uga.edu/unit/OCCS. And then we're going to click right here on resources. And we're going to scroll down to photography. And if you go to using photos of minors, you can download this consent form here. And I'm going to download. It said it was on the, okay. And now I'll share that with you. Is this the, it's for 4-Hers. Oh, okay, okay. Is that included in that wording included in the code of conduct form? Okay. And I'm sure it would not hurt to do both just to be sure, since since using the images of minors is such a sensitive issue. I'm not familiar with those forms, so thank you for sharing that information. Well, yeah, it looks like it's covered in several places. So, but I've included the OCCS copy for you to have on file also if you want to use it. If you don't have an enrollment form or the code of conduct, then you can just use the consent form from OCCS. That I'm not sure of. I would imagine if they did not want to have their child in any photos that they can state that or not sign that section. Is Mary Beth or anyone else who's familiar with that form, is there an option to opt out? Okay, thank you, Mary Beth. So they've had parents add a note about pictures, and they just keep it with the code of conduct. So also, you can, if you have questions in general about the use of photos or anything like that, you can call or email Angela Rowell and get more information as far as OCCS goes and what their guidelines. You can also fill out a request form for any projects or anything that you need them to do. Go on to image types. There are 3 types of images that are widely used on the internet and on web pages. There's GIF, PNG, and JPG or JPEG. A GIF is an option for small images where only a few colors are needed. Like the PNG that we're going to talk about in a few seconds, the GIF files are only restricted to 256 colors. And so that makes it good for like straight up like logos, like the 4-H logo is green and white. So if you've got logos that have a limited number of colors, then you'll want to use a GIF because those are small and small images. Next is PNG, and you'll notice this option in like when you work with, if you work with Canva photo editor, or if you happen to work with Photoshop. This is a file type that is common and available, and there are two different kinds of PNG files. There's a PNG 8, which, like the GIF file, it only has a color palette of 256 colors. And the image size, the file size itself, is smaller. And it's not a good option for like something like a photo. A PNG 24 has a higher, and I don't remember what the number is, has a much higher color palette and is acceptable for more complex, you know, like some photos and logos that might have like shading, shadows and stuff like that. But it is a larger file size. And in a minute, we'll talk about optimizing and saving files and why it's important to be aware of the size of your files. And then the last one is a JPEG, which is the most popular file type for images on the web. JPEGs are perfect for photographs or complex images containing lots of colors, shadows, gradients, or complex patterns. And that is also the file format that is required, like for the personnel profile pictures, have to be saved as JPEGs. We haven't really, I haven't really used PNGs a lot on in AEM, but the JPEGs really do work better, so I haven't played around with them. So that is the file type that is preferred for basically what we're doing on the county websites and stuff. The other thing about GIFs and PNGs is that they are they're both transparent. So if you do have a logo that you need to not have a white background around the back, a GIF or a PNG would be the way to go, because those are both have transparent backgrounds, but JPEGs don't. The other difference is that PNGs and GIFs are not they're not pixel based like JPEGs are, and so you'll notice when you're if you don't save your JPEGs right, they start to look, well, pixely, fuzzy. You'll see the squares, the square pixels on them. And so we are going to talk a little bit about how to optimize and save the best quality photos and to keep the file size small. Are there any questions about like the image types? And let me pull up the chat here. Yes, it is, Mary Beth, it is possible. And actually, I am going to show you that when I do the demonstration, because like I mentioned a few seconds ago, if you use the online Canva photo editor, which I love, I use that a lot, it only saves as PNG. And so you'll have to use another another photo editor, which is easy, as simple as opening it on your laptop or your computer, your desktop, and just do a save as, and then you can save it as a JPEG file. And then at that point, you'll give it a name that is more meaningful than Canva photo download.png or whatever their generic title is, file name. Are any more questions about photo types, image types? All right, so I'm going to move on to optimizing and saving images. This year in January, Google announced that the mobile search algorithms will begin to take page load speed into account beginning in July 2018. And so when we're talking about page load speed, we're talking about images and using images that are optimized when they're saved so that they don't slow down page loading. So basically what this means is that if you've got a lot of big pictures which look great on the desktop, but many people are using mobile phones now, if you've got all this great stuff that slows down the loading of your page, you're not going to find those things or those pages in the search very high. So you might have to go several pages in before you find any of your own information. So one of the things that we can control are your image dimensions. When you are using a photo editor, sometimes you don't have it viewed at 100%. So what you need to do is be sure that you put your view at 100% in your photo editor, because this allows you to view the image as the exact same size that it'll be displayed on a computer monitor when you save it for the web. If you've got really, really large photos and you're looking at it at 25% and you crop it and you're still at 25% and it kind of looks like the size you need, it's still going to be huge when you go online, when you actually put it online. So if you go to 100% and it fills up your entire screen, you've got to do a little more resizing in order to get the correct dimensions to make it light. Compression is basically removing hidden data from the image file to reduce the size of the file of images. And there are image compression apps online that are a quick and easy way to reduce the file size, and you can do that without losing any of the image quality. And the two that that OCCS uses and that I use are the Tiny JPG and Tiny PNG, and I will include a link in the chat before I go to, or when I actually go to use those. Oh goodness, we're to discussion and questions before I get to the demonstrations, and I'm going to open the chat. Yeah, I've got to find a place to put those. They were going to go on the OIT blog with the video files for archives, but I think I can send you guys a copy of the PowerPoint after we get done today. Okay, great. Thank you. I will send those then. Are there any other questions before we get to the demonstration? All right, I'm gonna close this and this.
This is Robbie. While you're swapping that over, I want to ask that the person that's logged in is Fannin. I'm assuming that's Fannin County. If they could send me a message with their name so I can mark them as attended, I would appreciate it.
All right, did you all hear that? Who's here from Fannin County? All right, I'm going to get started here on. All right, let me just share desktop 1. You're going to see everything here. All right, let me get rid of this and do this and get rid of this and this. All right, so on every Windows computer, you've got a few programs here to use for photos. The first one we're going to do is Photos. And basically this is an album. It kind of looks like an album, and these are images that I have on the computer here. You can click up here on folders and it'll show you the folders that you have photos in. You can add a new photo. So if I add OneDrive, email attachments, so I'm going to go back to photos, hit the back button up there, and I am going to, I got a confession to make, y'all. When I did my profile picture, I did it all utterly and completely wrong. I think the limit, and we'll look at it when we go to the profile section. I think the limit is like 600 pixels wide and mine is like 900 and something. So today I'm going to fix my picture and show you how to do that. So first of all, I'm going to click on here and I'm going to click on this one because this looks like the big one. That's a bigger one. So once you've got your photo open, here is a button that says Edit and Create. And we're going to click on Edit. And here we have just a basic crop and rotate. So if you click on that, you can select an aspect ratio. I know some of the photos that we have a specific aspect ratio, like the profile picture, like the slider, like the slider component for the web page has the 16:9. So you can choose your aspect ratio here. You can also do like you can do a custom one if you want. And basically when you do custom, it lets you set it here. But if you have makes the box and it keeps that aspect ratio. So just click on done. The only thing about this photo editor that I don't particularly like is that you cannot tell it like what size you want this to be. So this is still really huge. And there's also nowhere to see where it is, like right here while you're editing. And so that's another thing I don't like about this. But if I just had to crop a picture, this would be all right. But you can also you can enhance your photo. There are some filters here that you could do. I'm just going to undo all. Then when you're done, you're just going to click on Save a Copy. You can see I saved a copy, but it's exactly the same as the other, so you can go over here and work on your copy some more. It's always a good idea to save a copy, just because if you need a different size of photo or a different aspect ratio of the same photo later on down the road, you'll have the original. It's always better when you're editing, cropping, resizing photos to go down in size rather than up. So, and I can show you, let's see, this picture, that's the original size, it's 100 pixels. So if I click on edit and create, that is because it zoomed in probably at 300, 400% because it was so small. And so if you were to use this size photo on your website, and the way some of the components are set up, like the slider or like the image gallery, those thumbnails are bigger than this, and so when it goes to fill that particular box, it's going to look pixely and fuzzy and pixely and just not good. So remember to always save as a copy and keep your original photo untouched. And always you want to go down in size rather than up, and that'll keep your quality high. And I'm just going to close this out. That's a very simple, there's no way to adjust the size, the pixel size of your photo, but it's good for just a quick crop, rotate, and maybe a quick enhance your photo, or if you want to put some sort of filter on a photo, you can do that here too. The next thing, and I almost hate to bring it up because they are getting rid of it, is paint. They are getting rid of it, but there is a way to, we're going to click File and Open and find the picture. And no, I don't want to save the changes to that because I was just playing around with it. So you can open it, and here you go to Select, Rectangular Selection, and you'll see the little crosshairs. And we're just going to select it. And let's say I want to actually make this more like a That's the other thing I don't like about Paint. There's no undo. And I just accidentally moved that picture around. Let's see. Oh, there it is. The undo is up on top. It's just not very, and I tried using Control Z, but it didn't work for some reason. All right, so we have our crosshairs here. And I'm going to just do a general crop. And when you have what you want to crop, you're just going to hit this crop button and it crops it. Here under resize, you have a little more control. Right now it's percentage, but you can go in, click on pixels, and you can see the horizontal still 497. So we need this to be, let's say 250, just because. And make sure the maintain aspect ratio is checked. So what it does is as it brings this down, it also will bring this down, as you can see, and then we'll say okay. And then you can save the current picture by hitting that, or you can go here to File and do Save As. And here you have your choice. This is one of the, Mary Beth asked if you could save or convert a PNG into a JPEG. You could open your file, your PNG file right here and just do, and not do anything else with it except save as, and then you could pick JPEG picture. So while Paint is going away, I mean, it's still around, so you can still use it. And it'll probably, as long as you have Windows 10, it'll still, be available. But they now have this also new software program called Paint 3D. And basically you can, I mean, this is just like Paint, except you can do like 3D stuff as well as 2D stuff. So just regular painting and drawing and stuff. But if you go over here and click on this menu button, you're going to expand the menu. And here we're going to open and browse files. I'm going to click on pictures and we'll just pick this big one here. We'll say okay. It is going to tell you how big, height, and width. And so that is really the only way to control the pixels here. And it's quite maddening if you want to get an exact number. Oh, and I forgot to show you, so this is kind of big, so it's at 93%. So here is where you can zoom in, and now we're at 100%. So that's what the picture is going to look like online at 100%, and it is huge. And that is my profile picture. So I really need to change that today. When you're done, you'll just click the check mark, and then you go over here and do the menu button, and here we're going to pick a 2D JPEG. There are other options here. but really the only thing for online, mostly if you're doing photos, you'll use JPEG. If you're doing a logo, you can use GIF or PNG. And the default is the JPEG, so we're just going to say okay and save. No, I need to give it a different name. We'll say okay. So that one's quick and easy to use just for cropping. I'd say if you wanted more control over the pixel size, the pixel dimensions, then you would have to use Paint itself while it's available. Or my personal favorite is the Canva online photo editor. It's canva.com/photo-editor. You don't have to put that other slash, it'll automatically come on there. And so basically, this is a free editor. You've got different filters. I'll go ahead and upload my picture, and I'm going to go ahead and cancel. Since we've only got 2 minutes left, time flew today. Personnel. Okay, here we go. The personnel directory. You can go here to caes.uga.edu/about/personnel.html, and you can search for yourself. And when you see yourself here, you click on your name, and down here in the corner, you have Update Profile. And you're going to click on that. You're going to have to do your CAES login. This is going to look, if you haven't been on in a few days or months or ever, this is a new look. This little notification will be on the top, and you can dismiss that. That doesn't have to be there forever. But basically, here is the main record for how you're listed on the personnel database. You can request changes like to your email, your phone number. You can change your address, and then most of the way down the page here, we've got the photo. I'm going to upload a new photo. And so the basic instructions are your photo should have an aspect ratio of 2:3 and should not exceed 600 pixels in width. And mine is 960, I think. So I need to change it. Also, if your photo came straight from a camera, it needs to be resized first, and that all images must have a .jpg file extension. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to upload my photo. And oh no, that was 638. Oh, well, I'll use the smaller one. That's fine. And I'm going to open it. And here I'm going to go to crop first. And you can see that the height and width is 638 by 638. And then here you've got your aspect ratios. And so I'm going to click on 3:2, and you can see it's actually the wrong way. It needs to be 2:3, so you can rotate. Was it clockwise? Let me see if rotating it back will keep the, yeah, it did. Okay. So we need it to be 3 by 2. This worked for me the other day. So now I rotated it. I hit 2 by 3 again, which makes it go that way. And then I'm going to go here to resize. And the width is 425. And so actually that is okay. When you're done, you're going to click download. And this window will come up. You can try Canva, which is also an online, a free online desktop publishing app. And you can try it, use it. I think that there are several people in several different counties who do use Canva, and I'm sure at the end, I'm not monitoring the chat right now, but if you do use it and you want to help other people out with that, or if you want to ask some of those people some questions about how they use it, that'd be great too at the end. But right now we're just going to click download the photo by itself, and it's down here. And then we're going to go here to the personnel database, and oh, excuse me, first of all I have to open it in I'll open it in 3D Paint, since it seems to be the one that Windows is going to keep around for a while. Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to open it, and you can see Canva photo editor.png, and that's the name of every single photo that you download from there. So even if you don't have to convert it from a PNG to a JPEG, you have to at least rename it. So, but opening it in Paint or Paint 3D will give you the option to save as a 2D. Now I'm going to go here to choose File, and I'm going to open. It'll tell you it's been successful. The submission does not update the database automatically. Your request for changes has been forwarded to the departmental contact for approval. You can see who your department or group contact is from these lists. And then you can go back to that page if you need to make further changes, or if you mess something up. Or you can go back to the directory page. Oh, that link's not working at the moment. And I just used the back button in the
Well, so I think she asked that question when you were on Canva and cropping the picture.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. When I'm on Canva, I use crop first to get the aspect ratio that I needed. So, like if you needed a picture for, needed some photos for the slider, which is a 16:9, then you do it here and crop it. And then here you can make sure that the size, the pixel size, the width is within the parameters. So if we were going to, let me move this window out of the way. I'm gonna reload the page to get rid of this picture, and it's going to ask you, do you want to reload? The changes may not be saved, and they're not saved on here. I downloaded them already, so that's fine. So if we were using using a picture, and I'm just going to use their demo image, if we were doing pictures for the slider, it's a 16:9 aspect ratio. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's say this is a picture from the camera. The first thing I'm going to do is click on 16:9 and get the crop where I want it to be and apply. And that one actually went up because that picture was not big enough for that particular size. So, and it still doesn't look too bad. So going up that much wasn't too bad. But if you go up from like a 100 pixel square, Facebook profile picture to a 500 pixel profile picture on the personnel web database, it's gonna look bad. So and so now here, when I go to resize and I've got the aspect ratio already locked in, I know that I want the width to be no more than 1200, so I put 1200. And because I have used you could, so if you don't have any parameters to fill and you just want an image to be on your web page as it is, completely full, you can use resize to change the width to whatever. And by the way, this this Canva editor here uses this is like automatically 100%, so you can see exactly what's going to be online. And if we say but now if you have to have, like, my like the profile pictures have to be an aspect ratio of 16 by 9. I mean, not 16 by 9, 2 by 3. Or with the slider, and I'm going to go ahead and reset this. I already applied, so I can't reset it. I'm going to reload this. And so we'll just use this as an example because it's right here. So with the slider, it has to be 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So when you go here to crop and set the aspect ratio, if this was already 16 by 9, this little crop window wouldn't move at all. But since it's not, since it's not 16 by 9 automatically, it's showing you what'll have to be trimmed off of the photo to make it in. Same thing with so my photo here, this is a square, 638 pixels by 638 pixels. This is backwards, but 2 by 3 that's needed for that particular, for the personnel photo, personnel database photo, you're going to have to trim some stuff off. So there's no way to not have to trim it to be able to use the entire picture. I'm not sure. Maybe I can maybe I can put them on YouTube, make a YouTube channel and share those links. Would that work for everyone? All right, if not, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and say thank you to everyone for being here. If you have any questions or come across any problems with images or anything AEM related, really, or web design related, you can email me at caesweb@uga.edu, or you can give me a call at 706-542-6639. Oh, I said I was going to give you some this is the URL for the compression. Basically, you drag and drop your files here, and it recompresses them. Here's a link to the Canva photo editor in case you want to use that. And then here is a link to OCCS in case you need to hire them for a project or anything, or if you want some of their resources. Yes, Mary Beth, I think we talked about it, and it's because of you I found the photo editor, which I love. All right, well, thank you again, everybody. Have a good afternoon, and we'll see you next month, hopefully.